one thing I want to mention about electronic tuners is that they do not replace your ear. So you should still use your ear to check your tuning. You can use your ear to adjust your tuning after each piece or during a practice session. So don't feel that you need to constantly rely on electronic tuner. It's great to use your ear, and as musicians we should be, checking our pitching and our tuning with our ears.
The thing that really got me interested in the Peterson, and I think why we're kind of talking about it today, is it's the only tuner that I found that said it specifically had considered what it was like to tune a harp, and that it had some special features specific to harps and to pedal harps and lever harps, which are very different beasts.
It does get better, so I was frustrated at first, but honestly, the quality of the tune, I was like, I've not been tuning my harp properly for years.
Yeah.
It was such a difference. Did you find the same?
I spent 20 minutes and I was like, why am I doing this? Is this going to make any difference? But I was like, I'm committed. I'm just going to do it and see what it sounds like. Mainly because I was so nosy what the sweetener effect was going to have. And when I finished it, I felt like it had my whole harp restrung and regulated.
Yeah.
Like it just felt like a new instrument. And I was, exactly. Like, have I been tuning so badly for so long? Because that difference was quite noticeable.
Yeah. Welcome to the How to Harp podcast, where your harp and your journey are always front and centre. I'm Heather Downey, harpist and founder of How to Harp, your online space for expert guidance and endless inspiration. Each week, we're here to empower, inspire, and encourage you, whether you're just beginning or many years into your harp adventure. From chats with world-class professionals to real stories from everyday harpists to practical tips you can use right away. This podcast is all about helping you feel happy, confident, and fulfilled with your harp. This is episode 15 of the How to Harp podcast, and it's time for our regular monthly chat with me and Angela, the other tutor here in How to Harp. This one's a little bit extra special because it was recorded in person whilst Angela was up here in Scotland visiting us last month. In this episode, we're comparing two Peterson harp tuners, the freestanding model with the built-in metronome and the clip-on model. We talk about why we chose them, what makes them different, the pros and cons of each, and how they've changed the way we tune. So, let's get straight into the episode. Okay, hello everybody, and welcome to a bit of a comparison. On today's podcast, we're going to be talking all about Peterson electronic tuners and comparing the two models that Angela and I have. So I have the Peterson strobe HDC electronic tuner, freestanding, and Angela has...
I have the Peterson also HDC strobe clip-on. So it's a clip-on version. That's kind of a smaller version of the same tuner.
So we're going to be talking about the Peterson tuners and what makes them unique, why we bought them, what you might be interested in. But before we jump into getting into the nitty-gritty, what are electronic tuners?
Well, we play instruments that it is really important to be in tune. There's all those jokes going about how harps are always tuning. So finding the right tuner that helps you tune is very, very important. An electric tuner is essentially a little electric gadget that helps you get these strings under control and sounding beautiful. So it just helps that whole process of being able to tune your strings.
Absolutely. Now, one thing I want to mention about electronic tuners is that they do not replace your ear. So you should still use your ear to check your tuning. You can use your ear to adjust your tuning after each piece or during a practice session. So don't feel that you need to constantly rely on electronic tuner. It's great to use your ear, and as musicians we should be, checking our pitching and our tuning with our ears. Now, There are a lot of apps out there that are available for tuning. Essentially, it's an electronic tuner on your phone. And a lot of people do recommend these apps, and they're great. Up until about 6 months ago, I used a free tuning app on my phone, and that's what I always used. And the reason being that I did purchase one of the little electronic tuners that are kind of small, I don't know, credit card size. There's lots of different makes and models of these, but they're very small. And honestly, I just found they didn't tune my harp well. Either they didn't pick up the bass or the treble strings, or I just felt afterwards that my harp didn't sound in tune. And the free app just did the job better for me. And also, I had my phone with me all the time. I probably lost like 5 or 6 electronic tuners over the years, and I never lost my phone. So there's lots of free apps out there. There's lots of paid apps out there that are really useful. There's lots of different models and makes of electronic tuners. And so we want to make it clear before we start talking about these 2 Peterson tuners that we have no affiliate with Peterson. We just happen to have bought the same model of tuner, and we think it's interesting to compare the 2. And you might find this useful in considering if you want to purchase an electronic tuner, but there's lots of different ones available to you, and we're not endorsed by Peterson in any way.
Yeah.
So this will be an honest review. So, Angela, maybe we can go and have a look at these, but why did you buy your tuner?
Well, I wanted a tuner that was going to not be my phone, because I like not having my phone in my harp room when I'm practicing. I just find it distracting. And so I wanted to have a physical tuner, but I really like the idea of being able to clip on and tune, so not having to plug in or anything like that. So when I'm tuning with other instruments, that there's no other noise that's interfering. So having a clip-on tuner that does vibrations is just something that I really like. For that reason, I'm not having to worry about wires to do it electronically that way, and I'm not having to worry about other noise interfering. The thing that really got me interested in the Peterson, and I think why we're kind of talking about it today, is it's the only tuner that I found that said it specifically had considered what it was like to tune a harp, and that it had some special features specific to harps and to pedal harps and lever harps, which are very different beasts. So it's certainly in terms of the volume and the sound when you're tuning. So just thinking someone's thought about that and made this for this special instrument, I was curious, to be honest. I was just like, oh, I wonder if that'll work. And so that's why I got mine.
Yeah, and my reasoning is really very similar. So the model that I have, there's a few reasons why I went for this slightly more expensive model, and we'll talk about the price points as well when we compare them. But I wanted a tuner that could easily sit on my desk and I could see clearly. And those of you who are watching this on video, you can probably see that you can see this very clearly. For those of you who are listening, we will describe the 2 tuners when we compare them for you. But yeah, I wanted a tuner that would sit nicely on my desk because I'm in the studio a lot, and help me tune. And yeah, the sweeteners were so interesting to me because the harp is a difficult beast, as Angela says. And I was particularly interested in it because of my pedal harp. So the free app that I had been using on my lever harp for so many years wasn't picking up the bass strings and wasn't picking up the high strings on my larger range pedal harp. And so I wanted something that was going to help me do that. And maybe this is a good time for us to talk about those sweeteners, since that's the thing that we both got really interested in. Now, Angela and I are not tuner designers. We're not harp makers, we're harpists. And so if you are interested in learning in a much more detail about these sweeteners, you can go onto the Peterson website and really understand it. But basically, with the harp, when you pluck one string, the whole harp sings in sympathy. So you're never really just plucking one string, right?
Yeah, you're getting all these different overtones.
Exactly. Especially, the bigger your harp, the more overtones you're going to get. So when you're tuning that one string and your electronic tuner is picking up the frequency of those sound waves, it's not only picking up that one string, it's picking up all the other strings that are ringing as well. Now, some people combat this by dampening the other strings around the one you're trying to tune. But what Peterson has done with the sweeteners is develop a number of sweeteners specific to harps, and others specific to like wind instruments, I think are particularly interesting because it's very difficult to get that consistent note for tuning purposes. But for the harp, these sweeteners that essentially, I suppose not discount the overtones, but
they consider them in the overall sound after playing, that it's not just that one note. There's all these other things that are impacting the sound that you're hearing, and the slight little corrections that they can make will affect that overall sound and how in tune it sounds to your ear.
Very clever. Now, we don't know how they do this, but how many sweeteners do they have, Angela?
They have 4 sweeteners, so 2 for pedal harp, 2 for lever harp, and I'm still experimenting to see what the differences are in terms of experience, but it's quite nice to have kind of 2 to choose from for each of your type of harps and see what you prefer. I'm currently trying the harp sweetener 2 at the moment, and I'm sort of settling on that one. I think I'll probably try the harp sweetener 4, which is also for lever harp, for a little while, and then see which one I prefer, but it's still very early days for me, so I haven't settled yet.
So let's talk about our first impressions, and as I do this, I'm going to describe this tuner that I've purchased. So like I said, this is the Peterson Strobe Plus HDC freestanding tuner. Now, for those of you who are listening, this is probably like about 4-inch squared, roughly, and about 1 inch thick. So it's quite a hefty piece of equipment, really. It's a large piece of equipment. And the screen takes up roughly half of the tuner. And that's something I really liked about it straight off. You can, at the moment, you can see, those of you who are watching, that it is picking up my voice and telling me how in tune my voice is as I talk, which is really helpful. But we've got this set at the moment, or I've got this set at the moment on Harp Sweetener 3. So this is one for the pedal harps. The last harp I was tuning was for the pedal harp. Now, my first impressions of this, to be quite honest with you, I love the bright screen. You can change the colour, which I really like. I'm definitely a very colour-oriented person. But the way that this tuner tells you if you're in tune or not is at the top, almost like a rainbow shape at the top. We have like a moving half circle of lights. So Angela's going to pluck a string on her harp, which is just behind us. And because the tuner is moving in this direction, it's telling us it's flat.
Yeah.
Now, this is what I found really difficult at first, was actually, is it flat or is it sharp? And I think because it's so accurate, I actually find it difficult to get it bang on. So reading the tuner, I found really unintuitive at first. And if I'm honest, I kept on going back to my piano tuner because it's what I knew and it was easy to use. And I think we can be a bit like that, can't we? Like as soon as we start and try to do something new and it's not working immediately and I have to tune my harp, it's easy to go back to what we know, isn't it?
Yeah, and just the time that it takes to tune something new, it can take you so long. The first time I tuned took me forever. I'm used to like 3 minutes harp is tuned, and it was like 20 minutes.
Yeah.
And I was just like, I don't have that time every day to sit and tune.
Exactly.
But it was just getting used to it. And I actually found it first very disorientating and was very confused. And then I was able to kind of develop a system with mine that helped me work. So the way that it rotated, I made sure that matched my tuning pin. So I could move my tuning pin in the same direction that I was rotating, which made it really easy because my screen, I can kind of move upside down because it's a clip-on. When I had it upside down, the opposite direction to what I was turning, it was just super confusing. So you develop those little things of kind of figuring it out, but it definitely is a learning curve and makes you feel like I can't even tune my harp when you first start.
Yeah.
So do take that time to kind of learn how to use it.
And it's quite, I would say, you have to be really committed to want to take the time to learn how to use a tuner. If you're spending, you have an hour practice, which I think is a luxury for most people to have an hour's practice, and you're spending the first 20 minutes tuning, that's difficult, but it does get better. So I was frustrated at first, but honestly, the quality of the tune, I was like, I've not been tuning my harp properly for years.
Yeah.
It was such a difference. Did you find the same?
So I spent 20 minutes and I was like, why am I doing this? Is this going to make any difference? But I was like, I'm committed. I'm just going to do it and see what it sounds like. Mainly because I was so nosy what the sweetener effect was going to have. And when I finished it, I felt like I'd had my whole harp restrung and regulated.
Yeah.
Like it just felt like a new instrument. And I was, exactly. Like, have I been tuning so badly for so long? Because that difference was quite noticeable.
Yeah. And as I persevered with it, I did find my tuning time got quicker. In fact, I think, Angela, the first time I used it, all I did was tune my harp. It took me so long. I think I'd used all of the time I had to just tune my harp. But yeah, I've gotten used to it now. And I actually had to force myself. I had to say, for this week, you are not allowed to use your phone to tune. You're not allowed to use, you're only allowed to use the Peterson tuner. And I got used to it, and now I do really like the tuner. I'm definitely there with it. I love that it just sits on my desk. It's rechargeable. If I am using it at a concert, I can actually plug in. So my harp has a pickup. So this has got a jack input, so I can plug in. But it also has an inbuilt mic, so I can literally have it sitting in my studio, or you could have it sitting in your practice room or on your music stand, ready for you to go. And I think this is an important point, because you were saying that the phone in the music room was an issue.
Yeah, exactly. And with the smaller tuner, the one that I've got, that was one of the things that I was noticing. I love that it had the vibration, but because it's a half price point on yours, and it's got the more basic things in it, it didn't have the mic in it.
Yeah.
So that's, if you're wanting to have the mic to tune, you have to be able to clip it onto the instrument and get that vibrating. And so I'm still figuring out kind of the sweet spot of where to do it. And I've had to kind of move it around and see where it picks up better, and is it getting the right vibrations in different places? Is it getting the top of the harp or the bottom? And it's different. The harp's not the easiest thing to clip things to. Can I clip it onto the tuning peg or onto the key? So I'm still kind of working that out, or does it need to be in the sound box to get more? And that'll be different for every instrument, how you stand while you're tuning and what you can see. But because you have to attach it to it, it's not going to pick up at all. You can't just clip it onto your music stand or something like that.
Yeah.
Where I would have liked to have had the option to do both. I think that would have been quite useful. But yeah, I felt like because of the result, it was worth persevering and finding that spot.
And again, for those of you who are listening and not watching, just to describe this tuner, Angela's tuner, it's more about 2 inches long and like at the most 1 inch wide. It's very, very small, smaller than my finger, the actual tuner itself. And then on the back, you have a large clip, which will clip onto your instrument. Obviously, we're clipping it onto the harp. So this is much more transportable than my version. But as Angela says, finding an appropriate place to clip it onto. I would suggest the sound box, but of course if you clip it into the sound box, then you'd have to stand up to tune.
Yeah, it does have quite a big range in terms of where you can like make it stick out to the side and that sort of thing, which is really helpful. So you can kind of move it to where you're looking, or move it up or down. So like I said earlier, make sure that it matches the way that makes sense to you with the rotation. But yeah, I think it is going to be kind of a personal find a spot. And some people just won't like having it in certain places or feel awkward. Other people have their harp design has a perfect spot for it, I think.
Yeah. And just to mention price points, I believe my tuner cost me £150. I think you can get them from between, I definitely searched for a good deal. That is a lot of money for a tuner. And I'm going to talk in just a moment about the other features that come as part of the more expensive version. But yes, £150. I think you can find it anywhere between £150 and £200. I think most of the places I found it was £180. So you do have to search around a little bit. And Angela, yours was?
Yeah, so mine I got for just under £70, I think, on special. But they're about half the price of your one. There's quite a range again in terms of the prices. It was the cheapest one of their brands that they recommended for a harp, for a tuner. They have on their website a whole bunch of tuners that would tune. So they've got hundreds of tuners that they do for all sorts of instruments, but there's a few that specifically have the ability to tune harp. So I looked at that and basically found one of the cheaper ones, and this was that. So yeah, a really, by far the most expensive tuner I've ever bought.
and
I've
myself.
often just got something that was, £10
Well, free.
or free.
I was using a free app.
So it is an
long.
investment. So yeah, definitely something to do your research on and see if it's something that you like, or maybe if a friend has one, to try it and see.
Yeah.
It's definitely not something that you have to have. This is a luxury item that, I spoiled myself for a special occasion and just got it. But you don't have to, you don't need to get this tutor. There's plenty of other ways. Like you said, the free app worked for Heather as a professional harpist for years.
Years, yeah. And your ear is always going to be the best tuner
Even better.
to use.
Yeah.
So I think to sum up, before I tell you about the extra features of mine, to sum up, steep learning curve, but for me, I've decided already that it's worth it. Angela, still deciding?
The result is worth it. Still seeing if the clip-on on this particular one, like the sweetener of Peterson, I have fallen in love with.
Brilliant.
But having this specific one and seeing how it works in my day-to-day tuning, I'm still figuring out how to do that. I haven't got that refined yet.
Yeah. And then just because this one, obviously we mentioned, is a much higher price point. It's obviously larger. You can stand it up, you can fold the stand away, you can plug your harp in, you can turn the volume up and down, it has a mic built in. So all of these things are really excellent features, but this also has a metronome built in. And this was one of the other big reasons that I was really keen to get this particular, because I use a metronome a lot. I hope we all do, in fact, in our practice. I like having the fact I can change the metronome colour, so I know instantly if I've got the tuner on the metronome or on the tuner. And I'm just going to hit play here. I hope you guys will be able to hear this. Oh, I'm not hitting play. There we go. There we go. So I've got my tuner set in 3 beats in the bar, but I'm not clicking on the first beat of the bar. And I've got it set to 80 crotchets per minute. And in the same way you can with pretty much any other metronome, you can change all of these settings. It's really, really simple to change the tempo. I love this. It's just a wheel. It's so quick when I'm like maybe speeding up scales or something in the practice room for me to really quickly change that tempo. I love this. But what I really love about it is the fact that I can choose different sounds for my metronome, and I found this sound, which is like a softer click, so everyone can hear that, I'm sure. Sometimes I find clicks on metronomes almost offensive. And I think, if you are someone who maybe gets sensory overload sometimes or this kind of thing, you have to find something that works for you. And you can even set this metronome to say 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah, along with, if that's what you're into, you can get it to work for you. You can get it to do the subdivisions, etc., etc. But I also used to use a metronome on my phone, a paid for metronome, and now I've got this. I've got my metronome and tuner in one, and I feel that both of the functions work really, really well. And so I've been able to get rid of my metronome subscription, which was paying every year. So I suppose eventually it'll pay off £150, but I definitely really like the metronome feature on this Peterson tuner.
Yeah, and I saw yours had a little flashing light as well with the metronome,
Yes.
which is really useful too, to have
Yes.
that visual clue. Sometimes you want that without the click, so it's great that it does that.
Yes, and the screen as well, if you are on stage using this, the screen of this large one is big enough for you to read if you're standing up playing your harp, or maybe if you're playing a guitar or another instrument out there, you can read it standing up on stage. The screen's big enough to clearly see, so that's really, really useful. So yeah, for me, it's a big thumbs up really for this Peterson tuner. I'd highly recommend it if you can afford it. It's been worthwhile for me.
Yeah, and just one more feature that we forgot to mention was that it's rechargeable.
Oh, yes.
And I have been caught a few times with a tuner or a phone that has no battery, and suddenly you don't have either option. So the fact that these are rechargeable is quite useful. Obviously, you have to recharge it, but sometimes that's something easier to do than to have a battery or have that one. So that might be another consideration as well. But yes, I think it's a thumbs up for me too.
A big thanks to Angela for joining me and for visiting us up here in Scotland. It was lovely having her and Chris staying, as always. A huge thank you to Angela for everything she does in the How to Harp membership. She's been with us for over a year now and has become such an important part of the team. Next week, we've got another one of our regular features, our learner harpist interviews. This one's extra special because we'll be chatting with Catherine Rigby-Jones, who many of you will already know as our Customer Relations Manager here in How to Harp. Catherine lives in the beautiful French Alps and has an amazing harp story. It's a really inspiring conversation about her musical journey and what brought her to the harp. Thanks again for listening. Please like, subscribe, follow, leave a comment and share the podcast with a friend. Every bit really helps us grow. The response so far has been amazing and we'd love to keep reaching more harpists and more learners. I'll see you next week.